y'all, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Tammy, a 40-something-year-old woman living in Houston and showing parts of her life on the internet. And if you are not new here, welcome back, friends. Y'all already know what's going on. Especially because, as you can tell from the title of the video, I have some amazing news to announce. By the time you are watching this, it is going to be April the 4th, 2026, which is exactly 1 year to the date that I was laid off from my previous employer. And this past year has been an amazing one. I know that that is not the case for so many other people that were laid off or lost their jobs in 2025. I was one of the many Black women that was discarded from her place from employment. But I feel like my situation was a good one. I really needed the rest, right? I had been in that environment for almost 4 years. What started as a love relationship became a not so love relationship. And honestly, it was time for my departure. And sometimes when you know in your heart that it's time to do something, you delay, you procrastinate doing that thing because doing that thing requires a level of effort, time, and energy that you don't feel like you have. And when that happens, every now and again, the universe will kick you off that cliff. Okay, it'll kick you off that cliff. And that was probably the situation at my last place. I have been feeling for some time that it was time for me to move on to greener pastures. But you know what they say, looking for a job is a full-time job in and of itself. And I literally just did not have the energy. I had been telling my friends and the people around me like, hey, it's time for me to make moves. I really feel like it's time for me to go. I need to spruce up my resume. I need to do this. I need to do that. I did none of it. And I was laid off on April 4th, 2025, due to restructuring. And so that gave me an opportunity to, one, catch up on all of the rest that I had been missing out on, and also get back to the things that were most important in my life. Spending time with family, spending time with friends, traveling, sleeping, just doing whatever I wanted to do without being tied to an organization or an entity that controlled the majority of my time. During that time off, I branded myself as a housewife with no husband. Why? Because I am a single woman. I am not married, nor am I in a romantic relationship, and there is no man funding this. I'm the man with money. You know, all the people be like, oh, I want a rich man with money. I'm the rich man with money. I'm funding everything over here. And so I was very blessed in my previous situation, in which I had a very decent severance, and I also had quite a decent amount of reserves in my savings account, amongst other forms of income, and I did not worry about money. Like I said, I know that that is not necessarily the case for so many Black women and other people that were laid off last year, but it was a true luxury for me to be able to take that time off and do what I wanted to do and not have money be a consideration in me rushing back into the work force. During my time off, I think I told you all what I did. I did everything. And I applied for jobs. And I applied for jobs very strategically, jobs that I really wanted, jobs that I was truly interested in. And I interviewed with quite a few companies. Some companies were very forthright and transparent. Other companies played games. And I really appreciated the fact that I was not in a rush to go back to work. I was not just going to accept the first thing that came my way just for the sake of saying I'm back employed or I have a job or I have an income. One of the blessings that was my reality in this particular season of my life is that I had the opportunity to vet these organizations in the same way that they were vetting me. I was not operating from a place of desperation. But yet I was operating from a place of, I know my value, I know my skill set, I know what I'm able to do, I know what I can do if nurtured properly. And so I'm going to look at these organizations the same way that they are looking at me and decide on the place that is actually going to be the best fit for me in this particular season of my career. And so I did that. In 2025, I applied to quite a few jobs. None of them were really appealing to me. They just weren't. And so I rested for a period. Over the holidays around like October, November, I thought to myself, let me just do a reset. I'll get my resume redone. I'll spend some time with family and friends, and then I'll get back to applying right before the new year. Unfortunately, in November, I went through a breakup. That was the same time I got my resume redone. I was actually at that person's house applying for jobs while I went to go visit them. We broke up in November. It was a terrible couple of months for me. My Christmas/birthday was ruined. I was just not in a good headspace, but I persevered and I just focused on my career at that time. So I applied a ton, and then at the beginning of this new year, I was that girl, apparently. I was interviewing with upwards of 4 companies. I was interviewing multiple times. I literally had an interview every single week of this year, starting the second week of January. Let that sink in. When I say I was busy, I was busy. There were weeks where I would have 3 interviews in 1 week. There were some times that I would have multiple interviews in 1 day. When I say interviewing is a full-time job, babes, it's a full-time job. I was exhausted. Okay? I was exhausted. And I was thinking to myself, I had this thought, and I was telling my friend, I'm a true crime junkie. A true crime aficionado. Okay, I love a First 48. I love a Dateline. I love a 2020 episode. All the true crime, give it to me. Inject it in my veins. However, I had this thought. Usually when I'm watching true crime, I'm always trying to figure out, like, how is it that somebody gave a false confession? I'm watching the people give false confessions, and I'm like, why would you say that and you know that you didn't do that? Why would you do that? Only until this process did I understand it, okay? When you are interviewing with multiple organizations and you have so many people asking the same questions over and over and over and over, and you are trying to be consistent in your answers, eventually your brain checks off. It turns off. It clicks off. It's like, I'm tired. I've answered this question 15 times and it just stops working. And then you just give in and you just say whatever. And I had moments where my head was literally spinning because I was answering the same questions over and over and over and over again and trying to be consistent in my answers. But I say all of that to say it worked out in my favor. I was blessed with more than one offer, and I ultimately took the offer that I felt was best for me. I have completed my first week of work and I am loving my organization so far. I will not say where I work. You all know I have a background in healthcare, more so like in the technology space, not as a medical provider, but more so in the business realm. And so I'll just say that. But I'm loving my new organization so far. It is directly aligned with what I want for my career at this point. And I'm just so excited to be back. I accepted my offer and started my new job at 11 months, right at the end of the 11th month mark. So just shy of a year. And my God. I feel lucky in so many ways because if you're on social media, you know it can be an echo chamber, especially if you're on a platform like TikTok or something like that, where everybody's talking about being unemployed and you hear people say, oh, I've been unemployed for 2 years or a year and a half or 3 years and I'm not getting any interviews and this is happening and that's happening. It's really hard to drown out the noise and not to allow that information to infiltrate what you know is to be true for yourself and for your own life, right? And I empathize. My heart goes out to all of the Black women who are dealing with this heavy burden of unemployment and this really challenging time in our country. But I want you to know it's going to get better. It cannot rain forever. We are great. We are educated. We are solid. We are loyal. We are so many things. We are valuable just in and of ourselves, regardless of if we are providing that value to an organization or to somebody else. Innately, we are valuable. And I just want to say it cannot rain forever. Better is on the way. And so all of that said, I landed my new job. I've started my new job. So far, I am loving my new job, and I'm just so happy to be back. I could have probably stayed off for another year or so, but the longer you're out of the workforce, the harder it is to get back in. And so I didn't want to let myself go too far. And I was really looking forward to getting back into a routine, right? When you are not working and you have the time to do whatever it is that you want to do, it can be challenging to manage that time. I know everybody thinks that they want that, but you get to a point where you're like, now I'm looking back and I'm like, wow, there's so many other things I could have done. I could have took swimming lessons. I could have did this. I could have did that. And then I have to stop myself and say, you did what you were supposed to do. You rested. How many people your age get to take a 1-year sabbatical from work and just relax and just luxuriate? Not many people. Don't beat yourself up for all of the things that you should have done or could have done. You did what you were supposed to do. And so now that I'm back, I am in this season of newness, right? Purging, spring cleaning, getting my workspace together. As you can see, I am in my home office / guest bedroom, and I have already gotten this space together. I have changed the linens on the bed to a brighter, more springtime vibe. I've organized my bookshelves and put some books up there. I'm also going to be putting more artwork on the wall behind me just to infuse more color since the room is white and most everything in here is neutral. I'm also going to be in the market for a new office chair because, baby, this one is no longer cutting it. But there's a lot of things that I'm going to be doing in this season of my life since I am no longer a housewife with no husband. The husband didn't come, but the job did. And you know what's funny? This is a little tidbit, a little secret. I don't know if I've said this to you guys before, but I talk to my friends about this all the time in my personal life. The way God moves in my life is very interesting, right? I'm not a super religious person. I'm more spiritual than anything, but I do recognize the patterns that God has in my life. And whenever I ask God for a man, my God, whenever I go to him and ask him to send me my husband, do you want to know what he does? He sends me more money. I'm not joking. Anytime I have asked God for a man, for a husband, for a supporter in the form of a male partner, he's giving me a job. He's giving me more money. Here's a bonus. Here's a raise. Here's an increase. Here's a job, sis. You don't really need that man. You don't really need that man. And it's also funny that whenever I lose my job, that's when a man enters my life. Every time I've lost a job, a man has entered my life and occupied my time during that season of unemployment. Isn't that odd? Isn't that odd? Whatever. I'm not going to put a question mark where the Lord put a period. I asked for a man and he sent me a job with more money. And I appreciate that. So, this series of Housewife with No Husband is over for now. And so moving into this next chapter of my life, I'm going to be trying to get back into establishing routines, focusing on my health, losing weight, possible hormone replacement therapy. You guys know I had a hysterectomy a couple of years ago. If you want me to talk about that more on this channel, I can do that. But just trying to get my life back in order since I am now working again full time. I don't have much else to share with you at this moment. I'm not gonna drag this video out. I want to keep it concise. I just want to say thank you for all of the love and support that you all have given me during my time of being a housewife with no husband, aka being unemployed. And I hope that you all will continue this journey with me as I get settled back into a career and start to create better routines for myself and just continue living my life and sharing it with you here on my YouTube channel. I love you guys. I hope you have an amazing weekend, and I will talk to you all later. If you have not subscribed, this is your time to do it. Please subscribe. Please like this video. Please leave a comment. I often forget to ask you guys to do that, but please do all of the things so that I will continue to be motivated to make these videos and share them with you. Y'all have a good one. Bye-bye.